Check this out, sightseers. Talk about an otherworldly place. Wow. Unbelievable. We're over in a section of Utah checking out a place called Meg's Brothel. That's right, sightseers, it's exactly what you're thinking. This here used to be the site of a brothel.
Or so they say, although most online sources claim that Meg Lee, a woman of color, ran a brothel that was largely visited by miners from both Frisco and Milford. There are others who believe that Mrs. Lee was simply running a sanitarium by the hot springs.
Now, as you can see, it's fenced off. But never fear, sightseers, there is a part of the brothel that we can explore over there. It's just, if you look over here, you'll see that there's steam rising up out of the earth. If I'm not mistaken, this is Roosevelt Hot Springs and was the source, or once was the source, of hot water for the brothel. If we walk a little ways past the no trespassing sign by Pacific Corp, we can see the exact spot where the hot spring water used to flow down from up there to over where the pools were. See? Let me crouch down so you can get a better view from underneath the fence where the water once flowed down from up by the hot springs all the way around this path here underneath my legs to where the old brothel pools were. On closer inspection, I just noticed something. Can you see how this ground kind of glistens? In fact, that mud is still damp, indicating to me that water must still flow out of the hot springs down the path of least resistance, a path it's quite familiar with, all the way down to where the old brothel pools once were. Obviously, old Meg knew what the heck she was doing when she decided to divert the water from the hot springs down over to where her pools, where she decided to build her pools, because it's my understanding that the water bubbling up out of the ground over there is super hot, too hot for actually soaking, bathing in. But by the time it would have made its way to the pools, it would have definitely been fit for human company. And speaking of human company, is my understanding that the men who frequented Meg's brothel were miners from Frisco. Yep, this is where the miners of Frisco like to come on their days off after working, slaving like dogs in the mines, sweating, getting dirty, grubby. It was a major relief to be able to come and take a hot bath, maybe get a massage, ease out the kinks and those sore muscles, and then perhaps even end up with some sort of happy ending, participate in activities of ill repute, too scandalous to be talked about here on YouTube. If I had to guess, old Meg probably made a killing here at her brothel. Because what red-blooded male wouldn't want to come take a hot bath after a long day in the mines, get a massage and relax and cavort with ladies of the night? Seriously, I'm just thinking that Meg just must have really hit on a $1 million idea by building her brothel and its pools downhill from a hot springs. As you can see, the pool here is fairly deep. I'm thinking at least 6 feet. Well, how about instead of just standing here speculating, climb down in the pool, And then that way you can get a better look at exactly how deep it is. Over in the shallow end, the rock wall kind of comes up just above my waistline. And if we walk to the deep end, you'll see that I think it's going to be over my head. Who wants to make bets? Who wants to place a bet? Kidding, we're not placing any bets. Yeah, you can definitely tell that the rock comes up over my head, so my guesstimate, my best guesstimate is it was 6 feet down in the deep end. Here you go. Here's a bird's eye view of the pool from the inside and the bathhouse, or what I believe used to be the bathhouse. Just imagine this pool. I'm standing in the pool where old dirty miners would come and soak their cares away. For all I know, the ladies of Madame Meg's brothel were joining in on the pool activities, having fun, probably giggling and splashing and cavorting, even serving alcoholic beverages, because as the men would consume more alcohol, the more likely they'd be willing to freely spend that hard-earned money out of the mines here doing things with those ladies. Okay, I don't think I need to draw you another picture as to what I think went on here. I'm pretty sure if you use your imagination, you can figure it out. Anyways, we're gonna go check out what I believe is the bathhouse next. Here you go, sightseers, the inside of the old brothel bathhouse. Oh, that the wood hasn't totally, completely rotted away amazes me. Although you can see up there, that's looking a little sketchy. That almost looks like mud on top of the roof, as if it was intentionally placed up there for insulation purposes. Or not. I'm making that up because I clearly have no clue as to why there would be mud on top of that roof, but it is there. You can see it even better from the outside. Besides the fact that this brothel is situated right by hot springs, I can see why one would want to come out here just to get away from it all. My intel tells me that we may see a hot springs or an area where you can see the steam venting up out of the earth, where we can get a better view of it instead of behind a fence. We haven't gotten to it yet, but I think if you look in the distance, you can see where the steam's just rising up into the air in multiple places out there. That, by the way, I believe is piping for the geothermal plant that's out here. If I had to guess, again, Marty's not over here right now, and I'm not an expert on geothermal power, but I'm assuming that they somehow harness the steam out of the earth and then use that to maybe spin a turbine or something of that nature to create the electricity. But I could be wrong. It could be other ways that they're harnessing the power to create electricity, but if I were to make a guess, that would be it. Once we round this bend past these dead trees, you're going to really see the steam coming up out of the earth. You can really smell the odor of sulfur in the air, the smell of rotten eggs, so to speak.
For those who don't know, Roosevelt Hot Springs and the surrounding area is reportedly sitting on top of Utah's hottest geothermal system. Believed to be heated by an underground bed of magma, fluid obtained from wells drilled in the area is extremely hot, with temperatures averaging 470 to 480 degrees.
It's interesting the change in the landscape over here. You know, obviously you got the steam rising up out of the earth, but everything around here appears to have died off. And then if you look beyond, you can see life. If you listen, you can hear the steam just kind of rising out of these vents. Here, let me show you. I'm not going to step too close because I don't know how hot that water is coming out of that vent, but the steam is warm. It's like being in a sauna with the smell of rotten eggs hitting you all at once. I don't know if that's good to be breathing that in. I should probably step a ways from that. Now the steam's following me. Okay, I feel a little better now. That's one of the things you have to be careful for are the poisonous gases that vent off some of these places. If you look on the ground, you can see how yellow it is from the sulfur crystals that have formed. It's almost like being on another planet. It's crazy. Speaking of being on another planet, I just want to show you the black obsidian that can be found over here, because of course, as I mentioned, this is an area, a very active area in Utah geothermically, and so obsidian is one of those minerals that can be found rather plentifully. I'll leave that here because leave no trace, just footsteps behind, and of course no taking, but I just wanted to show you that. Isn't that crazy, amazing that you can find this here? You'd almost expect there to be a volcano in the vicinity. Well, moving on, I got a bit of a hike back to where Marty's parked with the truck. One thing I can't get over is the landscape here in Utah. The variety of landscapes, depending on whether you're in the south, the north, up in the mountains, down in the valley. It's just so diverse and just amazing. Which is why, sightseers, if you've ever wondered why we don't limit our explorations to just Wisconsin or even the Midwest, this is it. We would miss out on so much if we did. Oh look, juniper berries. That, if you didn't know, sightseers, is where gin comes from. The fermenting of these berries. As it just so happens, Marty got a hot tip that there might be another fabulous find up ahead over by the mountains you see off in the distance. So we're gonna go check that out now. Holy cow, sightseers, look at this. You wanna talk otherworldly? Wow. We're on a UTV trail looking for another stone cabin, except I don't think we can go any further in this direction. And honestly, we don't even know where exactly this stone cabin is. We're just kind of going off the cuff. But this is incredible. The views here are just something else. This is why we don't think we're going to go any further this direction, because Marty doesn't want to try taking the truck up through this area. Alright, sightseers, we're going to make one last ditch effort at trying to locate this mysterious stone cabin, or as the locals call it, the Chocolate Drop House. Or you could even call it the Chocolate Chip Rock, depending on who you're talking to. I guess it has a couple of different names. Well, sightseers, unfortunately, our little jaunt to try and find that other stone cabin turned out to be a bit of a bust. On the other hand, the views were simply amazing, spectacular. I guess you could say you win some and you lose some. Our consolation prize this time around was the views.